Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Latest Astrologer. My name is Rajat Kapoor. Today this video is about predictions for the year 2024 for all 12 ascendant signs or the moon signs. I'd like to make things very clear here. Okay, based on the principles of Vedic astrology, we consider the new year when Sun enters the sign of Aries, which is around mid of April. However, due to a lot of requests that I've received from people, I am making this special segment where I will try and make some predictions for each ascendant sign and the moon sign. Now, what I have considered in terms of making these predictions, I'm going to make this video quite different or unique compared to some of the other videos that you've been watching over the internet or on YouTube. In this segment, I will focus on the key transits for the year. What are the key transits? The key transits are the transit of Saturn, which holds great importance because Saturn's transit takes 2.5 years to move from one sign to the other. So it plays a very important role in key events. I will take into consideration Jupiter's transit, which is currently transiting in the sign of Aries. Saturn is transiting in the sign of Aquarius, and its mole trikona sign. Jupiter is making a transit in a Martian sign, the sign of Aries, which is the first house of the Kalpurusha Kundali, and it is going to change signs in May. It is going to move to the sign of Taurus. So I'll take that into consideration as well. And most importantly, Rahu and Ketu, the lunar nodes. Rahu is going to be transiting in the sign of Pisces all throughout the year 2024, and Ketu is going to be transiting in the sign of Virgo all throughout 2024. We all know that 2024 by Vedic numerology is the number 8, the year of Saturn. So I'm not going to stress a lot on numerology here, but I'll stick on the principles of Vedic astrology, focus on ascendant and the moon signs and how you can expect some of the things to happen this year. But I'd like to remind you and make things very clear here. Okay, and I've said this in many of my videos as well previously with regards to transit. How the key events are delivered in your life or are shaped across the coming months or the years to come. This will primarily be dependent on the Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratantardasha that you will be going through. So that is a deciding factor that supersedes transits. Transits play a very important role in terms of supporting some of the key events that are promised. They are the final deciding factor in terms of any yogas that are there. So transit plays a key role in terms of determining whether that would fructify or not. And put together, all three of these transits are very important for all of us. Now, besides the key transit of Saturn, Jupiter, and Rahu and Ketu, I will also focus on the current 2 or 3 months that are upcoming or in the near future for all of you. We'll also try and understand what's happening with the ascendant lord for different ascendants because that also plays a vital role. And gradually, we'll spend some time for each signs, and I will also try and share some simple remedies with you in terms of what you can do over the next few months. Okay. So let's begin with Aries ascendant. So I have posted a sample chart here. I've just picked up a time in a random manner to plot the chart for Aries. So please ignore the degrees that are here in this chart and also the disposition, Chadabala, everything that you see. So only focus on, this part of the chart, which is the North Indian chart here. Okay. And we'll look at the key positions of Jupiter, Ketu, Rahu, Saturn here, and also your ascendant lord, which is based on the current time as I make this video. Okay. Otherwise, just ignore some of the other positions. The software that I use, Parashara's Light, which is the most sought after Vedic astrology software in the current time, with precise, accurate positions. I use Chitrapaksha Ayanamsha, which is the sidereal calculation, pretty much active and focuses on the position of the planets based on how they are at the moment in the night sky. And this will give us a good representation of what's happening at present and where these planets are going to be transiting some of the key houses and would help you understand in a better manner. Okay. So Aries ascendants. I mean, most importantly, I'll start with Jupiter first. Here because Jupiter is your co-ninth lord and the 12th lord. Okay, and it is making a transit in the sign of Aries itself, which is your ascendant. So this is the ninth lord, 12th lord making a transit in the ascendant. I've recently posted the detailed video of Jupiter as well. Okay. Now, for the first few months till 1st of May, Jupiter is going to be making this transit in your ascendant. Jupiter is all about expansion. So when it comes in the ascendant, it signifies and gives expansive tendencies. So expansion of growth, knowledge, wisdom, learning, and also from a physical point of view as well, it tends to give us weight. If I were to put it in a simple manner, okay, because it tends to expand our body. So one needs to be very careful and cautious in terms of what you consume, what you eat, while Jupiter is making this transit. Okay, but then it's forming a beautiful yoga in transit for Aries ascendant, and at the same time, while the year started, your Lagna Lord is placed in a pretty comfortable and strong position, which is in the ninth house, and it's causing an exchange between Jupiter and Mars. So starting the year with Jupiter going direct, and also this parivartana between the first and the ninth house, over the next few weeks, while this transit would last, this really means that Jupiter and Mars have exchanged their places. Okay. So this will have a greater impact for Aries ascendants if Mars is anywhere connected to your Dasha, Antardasha, Pratantardasha, if Jupiter is connected, even Saturn is connected, or if Sun is connected, because Sun is also making a transit in your ninth house at this time, right? Or even if Rahu or Ketu are playing a role in your Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratantardasha. Okay. And the time when I have posted this chart, Jupiter and Moon were in mutual aspect with each other as well. So, I mean, in case Moon plays a role, you're also likely to be impacted, by this transit. And I mean, overall, it's quite a promising transit and a good start of the year when this parivartana is happening. So it's a parivartana between yourself and your dharma. Okay. So Jupiter is really going to act like Mangala over the next few weeks as Mangal continues to transit in the sign of Sagittarius, which means that Jupiter is bringing a lot of fire, within yourself and your overall personality. You are likely to be very much driven in terms of things that you intend to do. Jupiter is making a fifth aspect on your fifth house, okay, which is very focused towards meticulous planning and thinking about your future and also supporting your children throughout this time. By its seventh aspect, it is aspecting your seventh house, but this is only a 50% aspect. But then Jupiter would be very supportive for partnership, any decisions related to business, and also people of opposite sex. And seventh house, in a general sense, also the marketplace. Okay, so in terms of if you're interested to get into the market and make some investments, this could be a potentially favorable time, in terms of gold or stocks or bonds. Try and opt for, safe long-term investment view, because this is something which Jupiter would appreciate. If I also look at its ninth aspect, it is aspecting your ninth house, and as the year started, it is aspecting your Sun and Mars, your Lagna Lord in transit. So the energies are pretty much positive at this point in time. So it's an indication of putting your focus back in higher learning, educational pursuits. So over the next few months, if you wish to take up an higher education course, master's, postgraduate, also doctorate, PhD, this is quite favorable. In case you're going through a favorable dasha, antardasha, this time could be extremely supportive for you. That is something which you need to take into account while making your plans over the next few weeks. Saturn, on the other side, if I look at Saturn, it is making a transit in your 11th house of Labha, okay, gains, your wider social network, and it's in its Mool Trikon sign. This is its office space, okay. Now, some of the important aspects of Saturn is that, Saturn has been given the lordship of Capricorn and Aquarius. So Capricorn being his home sign, Why Capricorn is its home? Because Saturn is also a significator of poor people, also beggars. Okay, now beggars are also human being. Okay, Capricorn is represented by a graveyard. Okay, it is also opposite to the sign of Cancer, which is the natural fourth house. Okay. Now, the sign of Cancer or fourth house represents beautiful house, places. It also represents land or bhumi, what you construct on the land. Okay. Opposite to this indicates far off places or graveyards or, somewhere where maybe rich people would not like to live. Okay, because anyone, imagine someone who's poor, he would get places where the prices are low. So one such place is near the graveyard. That's where Saturn likes to live. Okay, um, now Aquarius as the sign is second from its home sign of Capricorn, which means that Saturn loves to work for family. Okay, because second from its home is second house is family. So the message is very clear that you need to work for your family. A lot of people say Saturn is hard work. Okay, I don't say Saturn is hard work. Saturn is work, right? Quite simple, and it is discipline. So it is someone who is even working for 8 hours, but it's 8 hours of work because there's a lot of discipline involved there. Okay, so that's what Saturn represents. It is a karma karak. Now, this year is also an opportunity for you because Saturn is making a transit in your 11th house of gains, labha. More than anything else, this is an opportunity for you to really focus on what you should be working or the line of your work, profession, job. A lot of times we make this mistake of choosing a profession that we like to do. Okay. But somehow some people are not able to excel in that profession. From an astrological point of view, your profession should be supportive of your Saturn's placement in the chart because Saturn is the karma karak overall. So this is an opportunity for Aries ascendants and all the other ascendants as well in terms of discovering or finding out the right profession for them. What is good and how it is related to the placement of Saturn and how the natal Saturn is just placed in your chart. So think about it, right, at the same time. Now, this Saturn is aspecting your ninth lord Jupiter, okay, by its third aspect of growth. So this means it is supportive of growth of your knowledge, wisdom, higher learning, dharmic pursuits, and also spirituality, which is your 12th house. So this is how Saturn and Jupiter are together playing a role for the first 4 months of this year. Also, both are aspecting mutually to your fifth house till 1st of May, which is putting a lot of focus on future, your planning, trying to get positional success at your workplace and what you do in life. After May, Jupiter is going to move to your second house of Taurus. This is naturally causing a Dhan Yoga in transit. But this Dhan Yoga will only fructify if you learn and increase your wisdom. And after that, Jupiter is going to give you wealth because that's your ninth lord moving into your second house. It is also the lord of your expenses, 12th lord moving into second house, which indicates gain or rise of expense. But then if expenses need to rise, so does your income. So that's the kind of message which Jupiter is going to give over the next few months for Aries ascendants. So they're very positive, powerful energies that you would witness considering, again, looking at the dasha, antardasha, pratanta dasha, if that is favorable, that is positive. Jupiter and Saturn for you are having a quite a favorable transit, if I would say. Now, on the other hand, if I talk about the lunar nodes, which is Rahu and Ketu, Rahu is making a transit in your 12th house. Rahu is the co-11th lord. Of course, 11th lord or co-lord are not considered good because it rules, the enemies. Sixth is the house of enemies. Sixth from sixth is multiplying enemies primarily. Now, this goes in your 12th house, which is losses. On one hand, it is positive because your enemies are losing this year. Okay. But this Rahu is going to cause a lot of disruption in your sleep. in terms of trying to get rest, or something that you would like to focus on is your higher self-consciousness, and that's something which you would like to expand this year. So spirituality will be the key. Otherwise, this Rahu is going to obstruct a lot of things. So you need to take control of your mind. Try to practice meditation, sadhana, yoga in order to curtail that. Okay. Ketu, on the other hand, is your co-eighth lord. It is making a transit in the sixth house, causing a Viparita Yoga. Adverse effects, adverse situations, you will rise. Ketu is very good in the sixth house. Some of the Aries ascendants might also get inclined towards keeping a dog at home. Or you should focus on feeding dogs, helping dogs, working towards welfare of animals in general. Okay. If it's a government-run veterinary clinic, give some donations there, or support those people who are helping stray dogs and other dogs as well. And having a pet, it's quite a beneficial time for you. In case you're thinking of it, you can do that. Ketu otherwise is not considered great in the sixth house. It's more or less gives mixed results, because Ketu does not really like daily routines. Okay, things on a day-to-day basis. He does not like to be busy in terms of doing chores, because it is a very non-materialistic graha. So it does not like to be in the real world of things, events, and people. So therefore, it's not the most comfortable position for Ketu. You have to look at where and how Mercury is placed in your chart. And if in case you have a strong Mercury or well-disposed Mercury, this could be potentially favorable for you. So all in all, Jupiter and Saturn are going in a positive way. Jupiter particularly is very, very supportive. And in case you have a strong Jupiter in your natal chart, over the next few months, the first half of this year could really be a game changer. The mantras that you should be doing this time would be related to Jupiter. So Om Guruve Namah could be a mantra that you could do, which could support you. Or Om Namo Bhagavate Sadashivaya, because Jupiter is linked or closely related to Lord Shiva. So that is something which you can do. Or both are aspecting your fifth house, Jupiter and Saturn energies. You can read Hanuman Chalisa. That's something which you can do. Saturn's transiting in your 11th house. Saturn is an old planet. It represents elders. Work towards elders. Start for your own family, which is your parents and other elder people in your family. And at the same time, focus on giving donations related to old age homes or where elders are. So that could be potentially favorable for you in terms of minimizing any ill effects of these planets. Okay. So wish you good luck and an eventful year 24 Aries ascendants. Let's now move to Taurus ascendants, okay, and see what's happening with Taurus ascendants, through the year. So once again, this video is very much focused on looking at three key transits of the year: the transit of Saturn, the transit of Jupiter, and the transit of the lunar nodes, Rahu and Ketu. And I'll try to make sense of the analysis by looking at associations and how these key transits play a role. Okay. And we'll also look at how your Lagna Lord Venus is making a transit over the next few months, and what signs it is going through, what are the major houses it is going through, and how this is going to have an impact, on you and what you should be prepared with. Okay. This is the year 2024, the year of Saturn, Shani. Okay, I'm not going to talk, a lot about it. There's plenty of information that's available, but I'm going to make this video in a very unique manner, as far as predictions is concerned, to give you some very key messages. Okay, we'll start with Saturn. Saturn is about work, in my opinion. A lot of people say Saturn's hard work, but to me, Saturn is work plus discipline. So therefore, it becomes hard work in the eyes of how other people see you. Okay, because if they see someone who's working for 8 hours, right, and does not like to take breaks, so it's 8 hours of very productive work. Okay, people say, oh, he's working very hard. So that's the kind of Saturnian energy. So it is the year of labor. Okay, if I were to put it that way. Saturn for you is a yoga karaka graha because it rules your 9th house and it rules your 10th house. Saturn's been given the lordship of Capricorn, and Aquarius. I have explained this initially. Capricorn is, from a sign perspective, is related to graveyards. It is also opposite to Cancer, which is the fourth house, which represents beautiful places. Capricorn represents distant places or far off places or probably not so popular places. So one is good places, ultra luxury places. The other is more of places that maybe poor or low income group people could afford. We also link a beggar to Saturn from a nature perspective. One of the reasons for that is, interestingly, Saturn gets exalted in the sign of Libra, which is the natural seventh house of the Kalpurusha Kundali. Okay. Now, seventh is also marketplace. Where do you find beggars, the most? They are in the markets because that's where people are. They're buying things, they're trading, they're dealing with others, they're eating out, and there are high chances of beggars to get help there. So that is why it also gets exalted there. One of the reasons, besides the others, which is of course law and order and more from a karmic point of view, but there's also an interesting aspect. And 10th, Capricorn is graveyard. Saturn is like a poor person who could afford maybe a house which is near the graveyard because the prices will be low. He cannot afford in a posh locality. Therefore, it's its own house. Second from it is its office space, which is the sign of Aquarius. If you look at the symbol of Aquarius, it is a man with a pot full of water who's climbing the mountain. Okay. So Saturn's office space is on top of the mountain or very distant place where no one likes to go. Because the cost of that place will be very negligible or minimum or something that Saturn can afford because no one comes there. And that's how Saturn likes to work as well. Okay. On its own, where no one is. And it takes a considerable amount of effort for someone to climb the mountain. So it's like someone climbing a mountain with a big jar of water on his shoulders, walking really slow. So that is the kind of efforts which Saturn demands, and particularly when it's transiting in your 10th house. Now, therefore, its office space is second from its home. Saturn only likes to work for family. This is a very clear message, and you are the natural second house of the zodiac belt, which is sign of Taurus. So you have to work for your family in this year. This is very clear. Okay, in order to succeed, this is the message of Saturn for you. Now, Saturn's transit is extremely slow. It's slow paced. It's like an elephant walking at a very slow pace, trying to climb a mountain as well. So that is the kind of slow pace Saturn has. So the other key message that Saturn's trying to give you is that you need to slow down in terms of what you're doing for your work. It's a time for reflecting and then taking some decisions. Do not rush. Okay, think through, work slow, and slow leadership is also one of the great skills to develop during the next few months. And if you do that, this is the year of labor for you. And if you do that, you are bound to achieve success this year. Regardless of how Rahu-Ketu's transit is playing a role for you, or Jupiter's transit playing a role for you, or if you're going through a favorable dasha, if you follow the path of Saturn this year, it is great. Saturn's aspecting Jupiter in transit in the 12th house by its third aspect. Okay, growth of spiritual knowledge, growth of dharma, because Jupiter is making a transit in your 12th house. Okay, you need to also focus a lot on getting a sound sleep, and this will be pretty much supportive and the focus of the hour. Because if you sleep well, you will be able to think well, and you will be able to learn in a better manner. Okay, so this is one of the key messages that Saturn and Jupiter both are giving to you during this time. Jupiter is your 8th lord and is your 11th lord. Not the best planet for Taurus ascendants, but Jupiter is creating a Viparita yoga during this transit. The first 4 months, you would struggle. The situation might be challenging, might be adverse. By the virtue of the strong Saturn in transit, you will rise and shine. April and May are like breakthrough months for Taurus ascendants in case your dasha and the dasha is supportive. Okay, mark my words. So it is progress and more progress after that. Because then Jupiter is going to move in your ascendant. It is going to strengthen. And having two major planets in Kendra houses, Jupiter making a transit in your ascendant after May, and Saturn continues to make transit in your 10th house. And that Rahu in the 11th house, first house, 10th house, and 11th house, yourself. You would gain a lot of wisdom, learning, higher education. Okay. A lot of people will come to you to get counseled. Okay, because it's your eighth lord moving a transit in your ascendant. It is also your 11th lord making a transit in your ascendant, creating a nice Dhana Yoga in transit. Okay. And Rahu further in 11th house is going to expand the significations of the 11th house, which is gains, right? So May onwards, it's quite a fruitful and an exciting time for Taurus ascendants, I would say. Ketu is making a transit in your 5th house. So Rahu Ketu's transit is to be, read together. Ketu is your co-7th lord, making a transit in the 5th house, is creating a yoga. Ketu likes some of the significations of the 5th house. One is mantra, okay, because Ketu is very spiritual. So the more spirituality and mantra chanting you practice during this time, it is going to be excellent. Whether it's mantra related to Saturn, Jupiter, so it should be based on your ongoing time period, or energies of your natal 5th house and what's happening there. So that's how it needs to be decoded. But simple mantras, even if it's Om Namo Shivaya, or Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, any Shiva mantra, Vishnu mantra could be beneficial for you. Now, some of the things that Ketu does not like about the 5th house is, love interest, speculations, because Ketu is very non-material and he does not have emotions, love, okay, feeling, because that has a strong connection with brain, and Ketu is just the body. It's burning, right? So from that perspective, do not expect a lot during this year. But then after May, Jupiter is going to be aspecting this Ketu, which will further boost some of the significations of the 5th house and try to expand and support you in that matter. But this year, you must follow the path of Saturn. Now, over the next few days, your Lagna Lord is making a transit in your 7th house, aspecting your ascendant, is gaining strength there, because Shukra is also the Karaka for the 7th house. It's a comfortable position as far as house is concerned. Gradually, in the coming months, it is also going to make a transit in your 8th house, which would be a bit challenging. And during the timing of the next phase, Jupiter goes into Taurus, and also Shukra over the next few weeks, a couple of months, would be making a transit in your 9th, 10th, and the 11th house. So that is going to support a lot of progression with regards to your fortune, work, and particularly when Venus will make a transit in your 10th house, where it will be conjoined with Saturn. So that is quite a breakthrough time period for you in case you have a strong Venus and Saturn in your chart. So watch out for it. From a profession point of view, you would get a lot of support. But this is an opportunity for you to make the right decision with regards to your line of work, your profession. Look at your natal Saturn in your chart and try to figure out what you intend to do. Overall, an exciting year with some hiccups, challenges, and the year of labor for you. I wish you the very best. Thank you. Now let's talk about Gemini ascendants and try to understand what's happening with the Gemini ascendants, the very, very mercurial sign, a dual sign, and exciting year 24 for Geminis. The start of the year is pretty promising. Very, very promising. So that's how I'd like to start this video for Gemini ascendants. If I look at most of the signs, I see this year to be very exciting for Gemini ascendants. Particularly the first 4-5 months are quite breakthrough. Because if you look here, Saturn's in your 9th house, your 9th lord is making a transit in the 9th house. Rahu is in the 10th house. It's your co-9th lord making a transit in your 10th house. Jupiter, which is your 10th lord and 7th lord, is making a transit in a direct motion in your 11th house. 9th house of fortune. Saturn's going pretty strong and trying to support you in terms of working on those significations, supporting your fortune, dharma, higher learning. Rahu is creating or likely would create a lot of expansion with regards to 10th house matters. It will bring some workplace politics as well. But if you are able to navigate and balance that out, this is quite an expansive and a significant year for Gemini ascendants and moon signs. And Jupiter is making a transit in the 11th house. Jupiter is also Bhadakesh for Gemini ascendants, but that would depend on the natal placement of Jupiter, how it is placed, and therefore it'll either give good results or results of Badak. But any Graha making a transit in the 11th house is good. It is a happy space, regardless whether it's a Badak or not. So your 9th, 10th, and 11th, I mean, these are the houses that everyone wants to gain the most significance of these houses or the results of these houses, which is your fortune, work, and gains. Okay, these are the three important supporting factors in the Kali Yuga, or the age that we are living in. I have no doubt in saying that this is a remarkable year. Even after May, when Jupiter goes in your 12th house, it will support a lot of spiritual pursuits, dharmic pursuits, and support from foreigners. Your workplace, you'll build foreign connections. And Bhadak going to the 12th is also good because Bhadak is losing there. So if you are having obstacles with regards to marriage, with regards to work, that is going to remove or that is going to go down after May by the blessings of Jupiter there. Remarkable year. Saturn is making a third aspect on Jupiter. So Jupiter wants you to gain your social network. So you need to build your awareness. And if you're going through a positive dasha during this time, you are going to influence masses. You're going to create a lot of followers. Popularity is going to be there. So all these supporting factors are by the virtue of these three planets here. So quite an eventful year, I must say. Jupiter's aspects are very important. So Jupiter is aspecting your third house, and Saturn and Jupiter are jointly aspecting your third house over the next 4 or 5 months. Change is inevitable. Growth is inevitable. Because third house is Upachaya. It indicates growth. It indicates change. Communication, very, very strong communication. You're going to bring in wisdom, depth. You might also sound cold to other people because they will face a lot of problems understanding you. You must keep focusing on building your communication there. So those things are pretty much inevitable. Jupiter is going to be aspecting your fifth house by its seventh aspect, which is 50%, but supportive of children, your future. And then Jupiter is going to be aspecting your seventh house of marriage, partnership, businesses, marketplace. Very supportive of some of those elements because it's 100% aspect. So you need to increase your knowledge in business related things in terms of what you must do to foster your relationship, to bring harmony in your life. So that's the kind of knowledge that you are likely to develop, or you should develop during this time. So that's the kind of message. Ketu is making a transit in your fourth house. And let me tell you, Ketu is also considered one of the significators of the fourth house. Fourth house is the house of mother, your comfort space. It is also the house of land, Bhumi. Bhumi Karak is Mangal. So therefore, Mars becomes the significator of land. But Ketu is the significator of construction, putting the flag on that land. This is my land. So that is what Ketu really represents, and it plays a very important role in construction. So people, if you're going through a favorable time period, you might get into some construction related activities, or you can support construction of holy places or sacred places or temples. Based on your dharma, you can focus in terms of giving some donations with regards to construction of spiritual places or dharmic places. So that could be extremely favorable for you. But Ketu doesn't really like public. Okay, so you might want to put extra efforts in order to create your image or build your image in public space. You would put in a lot of efforts that will really come by the virtue of getting out of your comfort zone. So it will push you out of your comfort zone, and be proactive in terms of doing that. All in all, pretty exciting and eventful year, for Gemini ascendants. I would hands down give this like a good year. And at the same time, it would depend on what's happening with your current dasha, antardasha, pratanta dasha. And over the next few weeks, currently Mercury is about to enter your seventh house, Sagittarius. It's entering Sagittarius. It's going to be conjoined with Mars and Sun. Would be forming some yogas in transit. And then gradually, It will also come in contact with Saturn, Rahu, and Jupiter in your 9th, 10th, and 11th house. And that's the time when you are likely to have some effects over the next few months. So the next 4 or 5 months are quite crucial and supportive of fortune, bhagya, profession, workplace growth, and also gains of all kinds. From a remedial perspective, you need to focus on and accept that you have to get out of your comfort zone. Look at Venus in your chart and chant mantras related to Venus. So you can read Sri Suktam on a daily basis, or you can do a homa or a yagya related to Lakshmi, related to Shakti, Durga, or chant mantras related to these deities. So that is something which you can do, or look up to Jupiter, Shiva. So that could really be the supporting factor during this year. So some of the things you can expect this year is higher learning, increasing your wisdom, knowledge, and also expanding your workplace connections, which is going to give you further success as far as your professional duties are concerned, or the kind of work that you do is concerned. It is going to be unconventional as well. You might take up things that are very different or unique in its nature. So for that matter, I wish you the very best and an exciting year ahead. Thank you. Okay, now let's talk about Cancer ascendants. This video is about the annual transit of 2024, and I am considering 3 important transits for the predictions and giving you some very important messages, tips, certain remedies. Here we would look at 3 major transits for the year, which is the transit of Jupiter, Saturn, and Rahu-Ketu. And putting everything together, I'm going to talk about how the next few months could play a role for Cancer ascendants or the Cancer moon sign. So let's understand what's happening here. Okay, so I'll begin with Jupiter's transit for Cancer ascendants. So Jupiter is an important planet for you because it's your Bhagyesha. It is the 9th lord. It is also the 6th lord of daily routines and things that you do on a day-to-day basis. We also see job from the 6th house. 9th lord is making a transit in Aries. Jupiter has recently started its direct motion in this sign. Okay, so this is causing a yoga in transit. And I have mentioned this in my previous video about Jupiter as well, that the next 4 months are going to be quite a breakthrough when it comes to job or work-related matters, because fortune is favoring you. Jupiter in its transit, wherever it's going through, it expands its significance there. And this Jupiter is being aspected by Saturn, who is currently transiting in the 8th house. So in case you're a Cancer moon, you could have stressful year this year. But that would depend on your ongoing Mahadasha, Antardasha. If that is strong, favorable, it could negate because you're going through Ashtama Shani, which is the 8th from the moon. That could bring in stress at the mental level. Could also bring in unwanted change, some kind of change that you're not comfortable with. So you have to cope up with it. But Saturn's third aspect on Jupiter, Saturn's third aspect is all about growth because it is an Upachaya aspect. So this is indicative of growth of your dharma because that is what Jupiter rules in your chart. So one is that you need to be quite ethical when it comes to your workplace and the kind of job that you do. Righteousness is the way forward. If you take the right decisions, if you follow the right steps, if you do things with integrity, with ethics, Jupiter is going to expand your workplace horizons. It is going to support you in enhancing and building connections at workplace and also giving you a favorable working environment, particularly for the first 4 months. Okay, that is going to be there. Saturn, who's aspecting Jupiter by its third aspect, is also your 7th lord, which means your spouse is going to play a very important role in your higher learning and increasing your wisdom. So make sure that you take advice of your partner or who you are in a relationship or your spouse. And those who are looking forward to settling down, getting married as well, this year could favor as well. because Jupiter is going to move in your 11th house in May and is going to stay in the sign of Taurus in your 11th house for the rest of the year. And this is when Jupiter is going to be aspecting your 7th house by its ninth aspect and will create favorable situations for business, for marriage, partnership, relationship, and all these matters. It is going to expand those significations. It will ensure that you put your knowledge in making the right decisions for your own benefit. And that is also the time when Jupiter will be aspecting your third house, which would trigger some kind of change that could be positive for you. It could help you develop your communication and also support you in ensuring that you're able to drive this change in a positive way for your own benefit. So that is when Jupiter will be in Taurus, which would mean your ninth lord has gone into the 11th house. So it is a gain of your bhagya again. So from a Jupiter's transit perspective, it is quite favorable. Now, let's say Saturn, who is your seventh and the eighth lord, is making a transit in the eighth house itself. Saturn is said to be the significator for the eighth house. That is, it is the Karaka for Ayush. Now, let me share this with you that Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, which is its home sign. Capricorn as a sign is associated to graveyard. Okay. And Saturn is that poor person because that is what Saturn represents as well. It is the significator of Daridrata. This is the year of labor, so it is also a significator of labor. And Saturn is that person who cannot really afford to live in suburbs or the cities. So it chooses maybe a place near to the graveyard because the prices will be down because no one wants to live there. And those are the kind of places where Saturn would want to go. So it is its home. Besides, of course, other reasons as well why Saturn has been given the rulership of Capricorn. Aquarius is second from Capricorn, and Aquarius signifies the peak of the mountain, a man carrying big vessel or jar full of water and walking, climbing on that mountain. And that is Saturn's workplace. This is the symbol of Aquarius as well. Now, Aquarius is second from its home sign of Capricorn, which means Saturn works for family because second house is the house of family. Therefore, this year, from a work perspective, since Saturn is aspecting your 10th house by the third aspect, where Jupiter is going to be present for the first 4 months, please make sure that whatever you do as far as work is concerned, you are working toward your family. This year, you might see some sort of uncertainty when it comes to workplace related matters or similar decisions because Saturn is the natural karma karak. It is going through your eighth house. It is going to bring in sudden transformation, sudden changes that is going to elevate during this time. But since it's protecting this house, you might develop interest in occult sciences, Jyotish, or subjects or areas which need a lot of research. That is something which you might be able to do during this time. Okay. Now let's talk about Rahu and Ketu, which are on your 9 and 3 axis. So one thing that is quite certain is that any journeys that you take, particularly for spiritual upliftment or enhancement, if you go to dharmic places or temples or those places that you believe in, or even if you travel for leisure, this will bring in a lot of comfort, joy, satisfaction to you in terms of coping up with any kind of change, and it will decrease your stress levels. So travel is definitely quite fruitful in this year because this is something which Rahu will expand, and Rahu loves to travel, go to different and distant places, interact with unknown people or the foreigners, and those are the kind of places which Rahu feels very comfortable and is at its best. Okay, because it wants to take anything and everything from other people, and that's how Rahu grows as well. So, in order to channelize this Rahu, because Rahu is also your co-eighth lord, and making a transit in your ninth house might bring some sort of uncertainty there. So this is where you need some direction. You need a guru or a mentor's advice because Ketu is in your third house. And this is where it demands upadesha or message from your mentor. And that is something we see from the third house. Ninth is the house of father, guru. Seventh from ninth, which is the third house, is the house of getting that message or upadesha or some sort of diksha, and how you should take this forward as far as any kind of change is concerned. So one thing that you must understand is that having a mentor would be essential for you this year in order to help you cope up with any kind of change and also help you in becoming a better person from a spiritual point of view and also from a mental point of view. Okay, this Rahu is also aspecting your ascendant by its fifth aspect. So, therefore, it demands change. This is the year of transition, this is the year of change. Career developments are going to be the focus, and at the same time, partnership gains could be there after mid of this year. Okay, so that's pretty much possible. Otherwise, you would also need to look at your Lagna Lord, that is Moon. So Moon changes signs every 2.5 days. Okay, rest would depend on your current dasha, antardasha, pratantardasha, and how it is playing a role, and you can expect the results to be delivered accordingly. Okay, during the first phase of this transit, Mars is going through your sixth house along with Surya. So it is going to stay there for a bit. And afterwards, Mars is going to get into its exaltation sign, and gradually it is going to move through and aspect over and make a transit over Saturn, and then over Rahu, and then and then also in your 10th house in its own sign. So that is going to play a very important role in terms of ensuring certain decisions that you take with regards to your career should give you certain gains, and focus on building that network and ensuring that you put your energies in the right direction. Okay, so this is how you need to understand another important transit of Mars that would be upcoming for you. Okay, it could create some problems, meanwhile, around February, March, but afterwards it is quite a progressive, transit to support you in fortune-related matters and work-related matters, per se. Okay, and this will be very, very futuristic, so it'll help you become more future-focused. Okay, so this is something which I can say for Cancer ascendants, right? As a remedy, you should look up to Lord Krishna because that closely represents Moon, which is your Lagna Lord. Also, you could do remedies related to Mangal or Mars in your chart. So worshipping Lord Hanuman and strengthening Mars by eating food items related to Mars. You can eat pomegranate or apple to increase the consumption of tomatoes in your diet. That could help you in terms of getting certain supportive aspects as far as the upcoming transit is concerned. So overall, I expect more of a mixed year for Cancer ascendant. But as and when Jupiter would move through and make a transit in Taurus, in terms of what you have been doing and the efforts that you have put in, you will start to see a positive light and change, afterwards. And I wish you the very best. Let's not talk about Leo ascendants. Okay, so this transit video is about the year 2024, which is the year of Saturn, as we all know, as it is number 8. I am going to be talking about predictions based on 3 major transits: the transit of Jupiter, the transit of Saturn, and the transit of Rahu and Ketu. And putting these together, the kind of connection that is making, I'm trying to make this video in the most unique and a different manner and give you simple tips, certain takeaways on how the upcoming months could be. And at the same time, you can make the most of it by following certain advice. But then the dasha, antardasha that you're going through would be the primary deciding factor as far as what's going to happen in your life in the current year. But at the same time, if you are going through dasha of Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, even Sun or Mars, in any way, if they're connected, you are likely to be impacted by these transits. It's going to have an impact. So let's start with Jupiter and Jupiter is an important planet for Leo ascendants because it is your ninth lord, it is your Bhagyesha, it rules the house of higher learning, dharma, fortune. Ninth lord plays a very important role because if ninth lord is in strength in chart, it could support in adverse situations, to any native, and it could support and help you do things that are against the odds, go against the normal or the usual routine, because fortune is favor. And when fortune is favorable, you do not need a lot of efforts, in order to become successful or do something that you wish to do in life. Okay, so this is a kind of message which Jupiter is giving. So it is going to expand your higher learning, your dharma, and at the same time putting the focus back. Start with Jupiter. So Jupiter is your fifth lord. So it is a very important planet. I give fifth lord highest importance for any ascendant because this is the lord of future. And we see progress from the fifth house because this is where the king sits. It is the authority. Okay. So therefore, for me, since it's all about future, and this is astrology, we are making future predictions. So fifth lord plays a very important role, and this Jupiter is making a transit in your ninth house of fortune, bhagya, long distance travel, higher learning. And these are the areas which Jupiter is going to expand in the next 4 months. It is going to elevate, it is going to ensure that you put your decisions in the most concise manner and at the same time in the best interest for your future. Jupiter is also your eighth lord, which means that there could be certain uncertainty at the mental level. But if you set your priorities in a clear manner and if you focus on the path of righteousness, there is no stopping of success. Okay, because Saturn's transit in your chart is in the house where Saturn gains directional strength. Saturn is not the best planet for Leo ascendants because it does not share a healthy or a good relationship with Sun. In spite of Sun being Saturn's father, it considers Sun its enemy. But I always say, if Sun is the king, Saturn is the kingmaker. And this kingmaker is in the seventh house, where it gains directional strength. There are blessings of the Devata. So it is a very powerful Saturn. It is a very powerful Jupiter over the next few months. And this is the time when you need to make the most of it. And during this transit, by the virtue of fact, Sun is going through in the transit in the fifth house. Okay, this is the natural house of the Sun, and it is making a yoga for Leo ascendants in this transit. So with that, I can very well and comfortably say that it is like a breakthrough, month for you, and at the same time, the upcoming months are also promising as far as these significations are concerned. I have mentioned this in my previous video as well. Saturn is a planet that likes to work for the family because its workplace is Aquarius, which is second from its own home, that is Capricorn. Aquarius as a sign represents, and if you look at the symbol, it is a man carrying a big jar of water, and it is, trying to climb a mountain. Okay, and Saturn's workplace is kind of a place which is on top of the mountain at the peak because it takes a significant amount of effort to go there or get there. Saturn also is very similar to a slow walking elephant. And that is why Saturn's transit takes 2.5 years, the longest of them all. Okay. So it ensures and gives you the kind of message that it's time to slow down. Okay. It's transiting in your seventh house, it's gaining directional strength. Slow down in your relationships, in your partnership, take a step back, reflect, and analyze the situation. And since it's also aspecting your ascendant, and by the virtue of double transit, both Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting your ascendant. This The next 4 months are quite transformational as far as your decision making is concerned, as far as focusing on physical health, mental health, physical strength, as well as mental strength is concerned, and increasing your intelligence because first house is where the is, which is your intelligence. These transits are quite supportive in order to ensure that there is a positive change in your overall personality for the next 4 months. And this Saturn is also aspecting your Jupiter in transit by its third aspect of growth. So there is growth with regards to future related decisions, your education, higher learning, and your dharma. So from that matter as well, it's supportive. After May, this Jupiter is going to be making a transit in your 10th house in the sign of Taurus. Your fifth lord going into the 10th house is an indication of progression, promotion, recognition at workplace, any kind of change that you're expecting or looking out. This could be the potential time in order to make that change, because Jupiter is going to expand some of these significations. This would primarily depend on the condition of Venus in your natal chart. If it is in any way connected to Jupiter, you will see the results. If it is placed in strength or connected to good houses or forming a yoga in your chart, you are likely to see that kind of results. And thereafter, Jupiter will also be aspecting your second house by its fifth aspect, which would mean that it will help you gain income or a secondary source of income or any kind of increment. So that is quite supportive, because you put your knowledge in a way that helps you earn and be successful. And it will also be aspecting your sixth house by its ninth aspect, which is further indicative of the fact that it is supportive as far as job or work-related matters are concerned. So this will be quite a breakthrough transit. I would consider this even better than the current transit of Jupiter for you, and it is quite promising. But at the same time, one thing that you have to be cautious of is because Rahu is making a transit in your eighth house, so it could make you prone to uh, unwanted change. Okay, sudden events or things that could make you uncomfortable, that could really test your resilience, your patience, your perseverance. Okay, and this is where your wisdom and knowledge and the kind of maturity that you demonstrate will play a role in order to deal with the situation, in order to manage that situation. Okay. Because if you're able to manage that really well, right, if you strengthen your Surya, right, chant Gayatri Mantra, that is the ultimate remedy for this year for Leo ascendants. You do not need to do anything else, right? Wake up in the morning, rise around the sunrise time or a little before that. That is how you strengthen your Surya, and chant Gayatri Mantra for 108 times, 3 malas, and you will certainly see very good results for this year because of these transits. Okay. Ketu is transiting in your second house, and Ketu is not, a bad graha for you. It's your fourth lord. It rules happiness for you, comfort, your home or the homeland, and it's making a transit in the second house of income, accumulated wealth, your family. So Ketu is not the most materialistic graha, but this will depend on how Mercury is placed in your chart. And if it is in any way connected to the second house by aspect or placement, or in any way forming a yoga in your chart, this could be a potentially favorable Ketu's transit as far as income is concerned. As far as what you eat or consume, you are likely to maintain discipline and a balance in your life. And also as far as family matters is concerned, right? So Ketu is not going to create separation with regards to these matters, right? It is going to support by the virtue of this transit, considering if you follow the path of Mercury, which is consciously work on your communication with your family, with your friends, and also with regards to what you wish to eat or consume. So that is something which you need to take care of. Okay. So overall, I say this is a good year for Leo ascendants, considering upcoming Jupiter's transit and also a very supportive Saturn's transit all through the year, which is gaining directional strength. But then you just need to cope up with sudden changes, decisions, and stress at the mental level. But this is where Gayatri Mantra would be very extremely beneficial and powerful for you and support you in this journey. I wish you the very best. Let's now talk about Virgo ascendants. What's happening with Virgo ascendants this year? So I am looking at 3 key transits for the year, and on the basis of that, I'm giving you a simplified analysis in terms of what you could expect and how this year is likely to play a role in terms of your overall success and some shortfalls or challenges and how you could cope up with it. And I'll try and give some remedies as well. So I'm looking at three key transits and putting that together, trying to understand some connections and make this very simple for you to understand. So I'm looking at the transit of Saturn, I'm looking at the transit of Jupiter, and I'm looking at the transit of the lunar nodes, Rahu and Ketu. We'll also try and understand the condition of your Lagna Lord Mercury and how it is going to play a role over the next few months, just at a very high level. Mercury's transit is, faster than some of the other grahas. Mercury changes sign every 20-25 days. So it's considered to be more fast. And also in terms of delivering results, it's considered to be more fast. Okay. Virgo is an interesting sign because this resides in the center of zodiac. We have 12 signs. Chitra Nakshatra falls in Virgo, and this is where Lord Shiva sits. So one remedy that I without any doubt, suggest to Virgo ascendants is that, it is Lord Shiva it's himself who sits in Chitra Nakshatra. So there is no better remedy than worshipping Lord Shiva or doing Rudra Abhishek once every year. You do not need any remedy besides this. And I've seen this as well. Mostly Virgo ascendant or moon signs, they have a natural inclination towards Shiva, which is good. Okay, so let's understand what's happening with Saturn this year as far as Virgo ascendant is concerned. So Saturn has been given two lordships. It rules Capricorn and it rules Aquarius. Let me also share an interesting fact with you that Saturn is linked to the labor class, but also poor people. And based on our ancient text, Saturn is also linked to a beggar. Okay. Now, one of the reasons Saturn gets exalted in the sign of Libra, which is the seventh house. Okay, it is the house of marriage. Saturn loves marriages, right? So this might be a bit contradictory, compared to what other people say, but Saturn loves marriages. Okay, it likes to go there uninvited. People get free food in such events in marriages. Those who have prominent Saturn, and Saturn likes to this sign because it's about marketplace and you gain here, and this is where it enjoys in its own manner. So this is also one of the reasons why Saturn gets exalted in the sign of Libra, if you look at it from that perspective, because it's like a beggar, and the ideal place for a beggar would be a marketplace, right? Besides, of course, other reasons as well, because it's Karam Karaka, it's about laws, regulations, and those are the kind of things which Saturn likes to control or be comfortable with. So, of course, there are multiple reasons why a planet gets exalted in the sign of Libra. Okay. Capricorn is linked to a graveyard, right? So someone who's poor could afford to maybe live near the graveyard because the rich people don't like to live there. They cannot afford, poor people can't afford. So they might get a house at a lower price, or those who are homeless or don't have a home. Capricorn is opposite to Cancer. Cancer is a beautiful place, beautiful home, and Capricorn is the opposite. So therefore, it's its own house for Saturn. Second from Capricorn is Aquarius. Therefore, Saturn loves to work for the family. Second house is the house of family. And from its own house, Aquarius second. And Aquarius's sign is a man carrying a matka or a big jar. It's full of water, and he's climbing the mountain. He needs to reach at the top of the mountain, and this is where his office is. Saturn likes secluded places or those places, which are not high on cost, where no one likes to go. So let's set up an office there, right? And because for other people, they will find it challenging to come there. Either it's a lot of distance, a lot of walking involved, a lot of effort is involved, right? So those are the kind of places Saturn loves to be. So that's its office space, it's sign of Aquarius. And this Saturn is making a transit in your sixth house. So the message is very clear that you need to support your family, your daily routine, daily task, the job that you do this year has to support your family, because the sign where Saturn gets exalted is also linked to the second house for you in your chart. So make this a point. The other thing is Saturn is associated to elderly, old people. Start with your own family. So in your daily routine, the least that you can do is start with respecting your elders and doing something for your own elders and also for other elderly people. This could also be your guru or someone you look up to who is elder to you, and take their blessings. And at the same time, you can work towards some charity for old age homes or similar places, which will be quite beneficial for you, because this Saturn is connected to your 12th. It's aspecting your 12th house by its seventh aspect. And this is also being aspected by Jupiter by its fifth aspect. Okay, it's a very clear message. So anything that you give with regards to donations needs to be linked with old people. Saturn is considered to be the significator of the sixth house. So this will strengthen job-related matters for you, Virgo ascendants. And at the same time, it needs discipline in your daily routine. It demands discipline in your daily routine. Saturn is all about work. Work plus discipline becomes hard work in the eyes of other people. So I'll give you an example that Saturn is really not about hard work. People say Saturn's hard work. Okay, for me, Saturn is work, right? And if you have someone who's working for 8 hours and it's 8 hours of pure work, this person's not interacting with other people, not taking enough coffee breaks, not having chat, but it's pure 8 hours of productive work. Others would say, oh, this person's working very hard. But the trait that this person has is discipline. So work plus discipline becomes hard work in the eyes of other people. This is Saturn. And this is the kind of message it is giving you in your daily routine. Stay organized, keep your surroundings clean, right? Otherwise, you're going to spoil your Saturn this year, right? And the message that Jupiter is giving you, being transiting in your eighth house, is to it's going to expand significations there. So it's going to bring in sudden changes, ups and downs. It will also help you and support you in research, in taking up certain subjects that are very unorthodox or are unique in nature that no one else likes to take. Maybe a foreign language or a different language or interacting with people from different cultures. So try to channelize it in the right direction. So the first 4 months could really bring in some sort of uncertainty, but this is where you just need to focus on your daily things, daily routine, and look up to Saturn and be less bothered about it, because after May, this Jupiter is going to be making a transit in your ninth house, where it will create a yoga. It is your seventh lord and the fourth lord, the lord who rules two kendras, also a Bhadakesh for you, is making a transit in the ninth, which is creating a yoga in transit. And Jupiter is also the significator of the ninth house. And during the rest of the year, it is going to aspect your ascendant by its fifth aspect. So it is the aspect of knowledge which will help you in becoming better at the mental as well as physical level. So it will help you gain physical strength and also strength at the mental level, okay, which will be extremely beneficial and important for you. And this Jupiter will also aspect your fifth house of future by its ninth aspect. So you are going to leverage your knowledge to make critical, crucial decisions for your future that would be extremely beneficial for you. Okay, so this is something which you need to be mindful of, and enjoy this transit of Jupiter that is upcoming for you. Okay, so currently 6th, 7th, and 8th house energies are very much on a higher side, because Rahu, who is the sixth lord for you, Rahu co-rules the sign of Aquarius, is making a transit in your seventh house of Pisces for the rest of the year. Rahu gains directional strength in the seventh house. This is something which a lot of people don't talk about. We have a very common and a popular verse, Kujavat Rahu, Shanivat Ketu. Saturn gains directional strength in the seventh house, so does Rahu. So this means there are blessings of the Devata here. This is an extremely powerful and an influential Rahu, which wants to expand the signification of the seventh house. Now, I want to give you a word of caution, okay? If you are in a relationship or your marriage, you need to focus on that, because it could give you expansive tendencies as far as relationship and such matters are concerned. So you need to channelize that in the right direction. Leverage these energies to create an influence on other people, to build good, fruitful, and mutually beneficial relationships if it gives you any kind of professional success or favors from other person. So this is something which you need to be mindful of. Okay, because this Ketu who's transiting in your first house, which is your co-third lord, would bring in a change, because third lord is all about change. It is also about growth. So it will bring opportunities for growth as well. But this might make you a bit isolated, right, from other people. So this is something which would be conflicting in nature, because Rahu would want to expand and Ketu would want to restrict. So you will find it hard to strike a balance during this time. So this is something which you need to be cautious of, because Rahu is also your co-sixth lord, which is the ruler of enemies, competition, but you have a strong Saturn there, right? Which will be extremely supportive and can really overpower Rahu. Okay. So just be mindful of these conflicting energies and not let it affect your decision making. Okay. Your Lagna Lord is going to enter the fourth house and then will transit in the fifth, sixth, and the seventh house over your Saturn, Rahu, and then some of these signs over the next few weeks and a couple of months. Okay, so this will be extremely supportive as far as your inner happiness, peace, and marital harmony is concerned. Yes, when Mercury will come in contact with Rahu, it will be in a debilitated state. But at the same time, you need to understand how Jupiter is placed in your chart and how your natal Mercury is placed in your chart. I have seen people with debilitated Mercury being exceptional communicators, right? And this is something which you must focus during this time. Avoid isolation, embrace communication. This is how you will be able to channelize that Ketu in your Lagna in the right direction. Do not fear. Okay, so this is the keyword, right? Um, and Jupiter's transit will give opportunities for higher learning. Embrace that. It is quite a transformational and a progressive year. So I anticipate some challenges till May, but after that, it is quite a progressive transit for Virgo ascendants, right? I wish you the very best. Thank you. And now it's time to talk about Libra ascendants and how the year 2024, which is the year of Saturn, is going to be for Libra ascendants. So once again, I'd like to emphasize on the fact that as per Vedic astrology, the Vedic New Year starts when Sun enters the sign of Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac belt. That is around mid of April. However, due to numerous requests that I have received in terms of making a transit video for all ascendant or moon signs, how the current year will be for them. And based on that demand, I am making this video. Now, in this video, I have taken three major transits in consideration. Besides that, I'm also going to look at some other factors, primarily your Lagna Lord's transit over the next few months. Okay, the major transits that I'm considering in this video is the transit of Saturn, it is a transit of Jupiter, and the transit of the lunar nodes Rahu and Ketu. Saturn, Jupiter, and Rahu-Ketu's transit is very important because it takes a longer duration of time for them to make this transit. Saturn takes 2.5 years to change signs. So 2024, Saturn is primarily going to be in the sign of Aquarius. It will go retrograde as well, which it does every year. Okay, and Jupiter is going to go through two signs. It is in Aries for now, but in May, it will enter the sign of Taurus and will be in the sign of Taurus for the rest of the year. Rahu and Ketu would continue to make the transit in the sign of Pisces and Virgo, respectively, all through the year. So this is what I am taking in account in terms of making this video. Okay. So let's understand Libra ascendant. So I'd like to start with Saturn first because Saturn is the Yoga Karaka Graha for Libra ascendants. So what is happening here is Saturn for you rules your fourth house and it rules your fifth house. So let's talk about Saturn first. Okay, because Saturn has been given the lordship of Capricorn and Aquarius. We need to understand why this lordship is given. Okay, I call 2024 as the year of labor because that is what Saturn represents. Saturn does not really represent hard work, which a lot of people say. Okay, Saturn to me is work. It is the Karam Karak, the natural ruler of the 10th house and the 11th house. And it also represents discipline. Okay. So it's very similar to someone who is working for 8 hours a day, for example. Okay. But it's 8 hours of pure work, focused, dedicated work. Other people say, oh, this person's working very hard. Okay. Whatever number of hours the person works, and if you are disciplined in terms of your routine, your work, people perceive you as a hardworking person. Okay. Regardless of the fact that you would still be balancing your life, you would still be doing things of your interest, you would still be able to manage, your daily routines. But in the eyes of other people, it's working hard. So 2024 for Libra ascendants, again, it is the year of labor for you because Saturn is making a transit in your fifth house of future, progress. So if you were to make progress, you need to embrace qualities of a labor. Okay. Why Saturn has been given the lordship of Capricorn? Okay, Capricorn is the natural 10th house, where the Karm Sthan, Saturn is the Karm Karak. It feels very comfortable at home. Okay, Capricorn is also associated to graveyard, right? And Saturn is the significator of Daridrata, someone who's poor, and it's also linked to beggars. Beggars are also human beings, right? Um, but imagine someone who's buying a house. Now, a poor person might not mind living near the graveyard because the prices will be down. This won't be a place for the rich to live, right? Because they would want to live in the suburbs or posh areas or localities, right? But the poor won't mind living there. Okay, so that's Saturn. And it's very comfortable in this space, right? Where there are not a lot of people. And second from Saturn is its office space. Second from Capricorn is its office space, which is its Mool sign of Aquarius. That means Saturn loves to work for the family because its office is second from its own house. And second house is a house of family. It is a Kutumbha Bhava. This year, the labor that you do, the kind of work that you do, whatever efforts you put in terms of building your future, it has to be for your family. That is very clear. Okay. The sign of Aquarius, if you look at the symbol, it's a man carrying a vessel of water, okay, a big vessel or a jar of water, and is climbing on the mountain, right? And the office is on top of the mountain where no one goes. Why? Because the prices are very low, okay, and no one likes to go there. But it takes a significant amount of effort for Saturn to reach there, for this man to reach there, because the path is slow. And it's very similar to, I mean, Saturn's transit is like an elephant, a slow walking elephant, right? It is giant, it has a lot of impact, but it's walking slow at its own pace. It will give you the results. It will only give the results when it wants to give the results. It might not happen as per your own will or say. This year is also the year for you to discover your meaningful work, or I would say that a certain profession or the kind of job that you do, which Saturn favors in your chart. So you need to look back to your chart where Saturn is placed. I mean, this is one of the mistakes that people do while choosing a profession. They usually go by what they like to do, what they love to do. It's fine. Okay, I'm not doubting it. But from an astrological point of view, we must always look at how is Saturn supporting the native in terms of the profession or the work, even more than a 10th lord sometimes. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you to reflect and for your future, make the correct work or the profession choices, even if it has to be your secondary work profession. Okay, you are likely to achieve success. So that's something which you need to reflect and ponder over the next few months. Saturn is definitely causing a yoga here. It is the fourth lord in the fifth house. Creating a yoga is a yoga karaka graha for you. In case you're running a favorable Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratantardasha, progression, success is inevitable, particularly for the first few months, because Jupiter is also making a transit in your Kendra house, aspecting your ascendant in your seventh house. And this Jupiter is being aspected by Saturn. Okay. So this is an indication for you that they are trying to give you a message that you need to put your knowledge in building your relationships, partnership, business. So this is how the knowledge needs to be channelized for you to make wealth, for you to ensure that the change, which is seen by the third house which Jupiter rules in your chart, is comfortable for you and you're able to cope up with that change. Okay. Your daily routine of the job, which again Jupiter rules in your chart, where Rahu is making a transit in the sixth house, it would ensure that you use your knowledge in the right manner so that you can cope up with your daily routines and tasks and duties. And Saturn is fostering Jupiter's growth tendencies there, right? Just be mindful of the fact that seventh house is the house of relationship. So make sure that you stick to one and you're loyal to your partner or your relationship. Okay. By the mutual aspect, both Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting your 11th house or the 11th power. So it's having a good impact on your 11th house, which is the house of gains, your wider social network. So this year, for the first 4 months, I can very comfortably say that if you fix your daily routine, which is taking care of that Rahu in your sixth house, which is also your co-fifth lord, and if you put your acts together and have good habits, you are more likely to gain before May this year. And these gains could be quite progressive for you, quite massive for you, would help you sustain. Because over the next few months, your Lagna Lord is also going to transit over your transiting Saturn and over your Rahu as well, which would further amplify the results, which would further support your future. Okay, particularly when Venus comes in Capricorn in the next 2 months, and it'll be gaining directional strength. So that's where your fourth house and the fifth house would really get that power. You'll have two planets in your Kendra house, Saturn in your trinal house, and that's how you would like to progress further. Rahu is said to be very good in the sixth house. 3, 6, 10, and 11, particularly. I consider these houses very good for Rahu from a growth point of view because Rahu is hungry for growth. So, depending on the natal placement of Jupiter in your chart, and currently Jupiter is going pretty strong, this Rahu can deliver very positive results for you because it is again a Karaka planet for you. And Rahu takes care of the enemies in the sixth house. It helps you conquer enemies, it helps you beat the competition. Um, though you will have some challenges after May when Jupiter makes a transit in your eighth house, right? It could bring in some sudden changes because your third lord has gone into the eighth house, the one who rules change, the one who rules daily routine. It is going to disrupt your routine after May. But you have to be mindful of the fact and understand that Rahu is supporting you to conquer your enemies, to surpass competition. Considering if you have neat, clean habits and you take care of your surroundings and you try to stay organized and disciplined, rise up early, respect your 11th lord sun, okay, have a very clear daily routine, maintain a planner. The more you spend time in terms of putting your plans, the better it is for you. Ketu on the other side, which is in your 12th house, and Ketu does very well in 12th house. Also, from a spiritual point of view, but Ketu is a very non-materialistic graha. So if it goes in the house of losses or expenditure, Ketu is very happy because Ketu says, I don't have anything, right? What losses, what expenditure? I'm pretty content here because I'm all non-materialistic, I don't have desires, and at the same time, I am highly spiritual. So it will foster your spiritual quotient. It's your second lord going into the 12th house, which means that you're going to use your income in expenditure. But then if your expenditure would increase, so would your income. That would be supportive. And you have to look towards your Mercury during this time as to how it is placed in the natal chart and the kind of role that it is going to play over the next few months. So in case you're going through the Dasha, Antardasha, Prasantardasha, where Saturn's playing a role, Venus, Mercury, Ketu, Rahu, Jupiter, any of these planets are playing a role, you're likely to be impacted by this transit. Even Mars, if that is playing a role, you're likely to be impacted by this transit. But all in all, I look at this as a positive year, particularly the first 4 5 months are great. After that, when Jupiter gets into your eighth house, it would create some discomfort, but that's when Jupiter will be aspecting your Ketu in the 12th. And Jupiter is creating a Viparita yoga. So situation will become adverse for you for the first few months, but eventually it will help you rise by your knowledge, by your wisdom. It'll support your spiritual pursuits. So you need to become a bit more spiritual after May. Okay, follow dharma, spread awareness, right? Visit some shrines, must visit Ayodhya, Ram Janmabhoomi and take blessings of Lord Ram. But when you're going to take blessings of Lord Ram, make sure that you worship Hanuman, because Lord Ram's level is very high, supreme. It's not easy to reach him. The only way you can reach Lord Ram, Prabhu Shri Ram, is through Hanuman. So have that devotion in place, because Saturn's transiting in your fifth house. It will support any kind of mantras that you use or chant during this time. Thereafter, Jupiter will also be, after May, it will also be aspecting your fourth house, which will create a sense of satisfaction or let you stay in your comfort zone. So that's something which you'll have to watch or be mindful of. That's something which you need to also elevate and focus on. It would also be aspecting your second house, but that's a 50% aspect. Just ignore all the other planets that are there, because this chart is based on the current time period. We'll only focus on Jupiter for now. And this Jupiter here, when it transits in your eighth house here, is going to be aspecting your second house. But this is only 50% aspect. What you need to consider is this aspect and the aspect here. These are far more important than the seventh aspect. So this is what you would need to consider, right? So your second house, fourth house, and your 12th house. So in a way, your Moksha Trikon has a greater emphasis, because 4th and 12th houses are involved. In 4th, 8th, and 12th houses, the Moksha Trikon. Jupiter is placed in the 8th. It wants you to become more spiritual, and you will become more spiritual as the year progresses. And spirituality does come with pain, does come with some suffering. So be prepared for it mentally. But overall, I wish you the very best and hope you make the most of the first few months. Thank you. Now let's talk about Scorpio ascendants and how the year 2024 is for Scorpio ascendants, right? So Scorpio ascendants, I like to share, a few things here, that this is the year 2024, and I'm looking at 3 key transits to make some predictions for you, to give you some guidance, support, and also some simple remedies that you can do in terms of certain challenging times that you might have over the next few months. So it's the transit of Jupiter, it's a transit of Saturn, and the transit of Rahu and Ketu. So I'm taking them all together and trying to understand the kind of relations, associations that they're making for you through this year, and how this is going to act. Now, one thing you need to understand is I'm using this chart here. It is based on the current time that I make this video. Ignore some of the other placements of planets. We'll only focus on Saturn here, okay, Jupiter, and Rahu and Ketu. Okay, so these are the 3 houses which we'll focus on. Now, we'll also look at your Lagna Lord, which is Mangal, that is currently transiting in your second house of Dhana. It is creating a natural Dhan Yoga in transit. It is conjoined Sun as well. Sun will move through the sign and enter Capricorn very soon. And later, Mercury will join Mangal. And then Venus will also move to the sign of Sagittarius. So we might have that conjunction as well. This looks like a supportive period over the next few weeks for you in terms of having some short-term financial gains. Okay, that is quite likely, right? In case you're looking forward for an increment or some sort of incentive, even recognition, that is quite likely during this time. Let's understand Jupiter's transit for you. Jupiter is making a transit in the sign of Aries in your 6th house. And Jupiter is your 5th lord. It is one of the most important planets for you. It also rules your 2nd house. So it is the Dhanesha, and it is the planet who rules future for you, which we see from the 5th house. We also see mantras from the 5th house. Okay, so it rules your mantra bhava. It rules speculations for you. It rules progress, and it rules authority in your chart. This Jupiter is making a transit in the 6th house. The very clear message is to expand your daily routine. Okay, you need to do a lot of things. You need to keep yourself busy all through the day. If you were to make wealth over the next 4-5 months, stay as busy as you can. Whether it is exercising, going to the gym, going for a walk, doing work all through the day, taking care of your family, spending time with them, reading a book. Make sure that you do not sit idle, particularly till May. Okay, because the more you keep yourself busy, let's say you don't have anything to do when you're sitting at home, start cleaning your house. Okay, maintain your environment and try to declutter some of the things in your house. This is also the message for that Jupiter is giving you, in case, especially if you have any wealth-related issues. So this is a time for you to declutter and remove all those energies and give it back to those who need. Donate some of the things that you don't need. It could be your old clothes, old items at your home. So make sure you do this exercise within the next few weeks in order to gain the most of it. Now, Jupiter is aspecting your 10th house, which is also jointly aspected by Saturn. So Saturn's your fourth lord and the third lord. Jupiter's your fifth lord, aspecting your 10th house. Change in your profession, job, or career is highly likely in case your dasha, antardasha is supportive of it. Because Saturn rules change for you, Jupiter rules future for you. 2024 is the year of professional change, and this change is going to manifest over the next few months till May, before Jupiter enters your seventh house. Because this is very highly impacted in your chart, and it is in a good way. Jupiter's message is that you need to apply your knowledge you're learning at work. What you learn, apply and share this with others. The more you share, the better would be your progression path during this time. Now, by the ninth aspect, Jupiter is aspecting your second house, which is its own sign, the Dhana Bhava. And currently, your Lagna Lord and Jupiter are in Parivartan. They are forming a beautiful yoga in chart. Okay, particularly the next few days for you are quite positive. Jupiter has moved direct. Mangal is going to go pretty strong in the sign of Sagittarius, and they have exchanged roles. Okay, so Jupiter at this time is acting like your Lagna Lord, and Mangal is acting as your fifth Lord. So that is something you need to be mindful of and you need to understand as well. Okay. So from that aspect, I'm saying that this time period is pretty good. If you keep yourself busy, you could see increase in your wealth or a chance of secondary source of income during this time. And Jupiter is aspecting your 12th house by its seventh aspect. This aspect is only 50%. So it will, in a way, support your spiritual pursuits, help you get a good night's sleep, which will give you more energy to do a lot more because you would need to do a lot more. Okay. Saturn is like a neutral planet for you. It's your fourth lord. That is why it is important. Because it rules one Kendra and it is making a transit in the fourth house itself. Okay, Saturn's fourth house placement is not the most comfortable, but since it's its own Mool Trikona sign, and let me share this with you that Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn and also the sign of Aquarius. Why it rules the sign of Capricorn? It rules the sign of Capricorn. One of the reasons, besides being the Karam Karak and Capricorn being the natural 10th house, which is the Karam Sthan, Capricorn is also associated to graveyards. Saturn is associated to Daridrata, someone who's poor, or a beggar as well. Beggars are human beings as well. And this Saturn is that kind of a poor person who cannot afford to live in suburbs. So he would find place near the graveyard, okay? Because that might be less in terms of cost and he can live it comfortably, and the rich people don't like to live there. That is why Saturn feels at home in Capricorn. Second from it is Aquarius. Now, what is the natural second house? Second house is the house of family. So Saturn's office is Aquarius, which is its Mool Trikona. So Saturn loves to work for the family. And anything that you do, and Saturn is sitting in your home or your comfort zone during this year, which is your fourth house. So whatever you do, okay, in terms of ensuring that you get satisfaction, it should be towards your family. And that is going to bring contentment and a sense of relief and satisfaction for your own self. So be prepared for it. Okay. And also, this also represents your environment at workplace. It's opposite to your 10th house. So make sure that you are acting as a mentor or guide for other people. The more you teach others, the better you will be able to elevate the qualities of Saturn in this house. And you would find some challenges with regards to the environment at your workplace. But if you're able to channelize that or cope up with it, there could be a good success as far as professional endeavors are concerned. After all, Saturn's also aspecting your 10th house. It'll give you growth, but the growth will be slow and steady. So steadiness is something that you can expect towards the later part of the year. okay, because that is a time when Jupiter will also transit your seventh house and would be aspecting your ascendant. And together they will give you steadiness, stability, wisdom, knowledge, and discipline. All of these qualities. Okay. Rahu, on the other side, is your co-fourth lord, making a transit in the fifth house. Rahu is not considered very good in the fifth house. So it's not its comfort space because fifth house is about future, mantra, and Rahu wants everything now. He does not want to wait for the future. Okay. Though he loves speculation, he loves gambling, he loves shortcuts, which are the adverse qualities of Rahu, and some of those things which one should avoid. So those are some of the things which you need to be mindful of for your own happiness. You might get into speculation, you might get into gambling, you might get into shortcut to success for your future. So this is something you need to be careful of and mindful of is because this is where you need to look towards your Ketu, which is restricting all these measures. Ketu says no to the 11th house because he has nothing to do with gains. And Ketu is your co-Lagna Lord. It is important for you. And that is what you should listen to. Don't run after money. Don't run after shortcuts. Just keep doing your karmas and what you intend to do with that Saturn in your fourth house and your Jupiter in the sixth house. The more busy you are, you will not get time to even think about all these things. So this is something you need to do as a remedy, which is conscious thinking, staying away from some of these big material things or dreams that you have and take charge of it and just be busy. Success is going to follow, and that is guaranteed if you fix your daily routine. So this is the ultimate remedy for you. Mantras might not work for you during this time because you have a Rahu there in the fifth house, which will not let you be consistent. And I'm not saying that don't do mantras, still continue to do it, okay? But somehow it will give you some issues with regards to consistency. Saturn's transiting in your fourth house. You can go ahead and support in construction related activities, particularly of a holy place or a shrine or a temple or any place that you believe in. So you can support and give some donations with regards to construction of some of these places. You can worship Lord Hanuman on a daily basis, which will give you a lot of relief because it is closely linked to your Lagna Lord Mangal and also a good potential remedy when Saturn is making a transit in your fourth house. Okay. Particularly, let's say on Tuesdays and Saturdays, you can, or the day you were born, check the day you were born, or at least 1 or 2 days in the week, read Hanuman Chalisa for 7 times. Okay. Particularly, let's say on Tuesday and Saturday. That will be highly beneficial for you during this time. The other thing you need to take care of on a day-to-day basis is what you consume, what you eat. Otherwise, it could give you digestive issues and certain healths, which could have its own repercussions. Okay. So overall, I say it's a mixed year. The first half of the year is a bit challenging, but when Jupiter goes in your seventh house in Taurus, it is creating a beautiful yoga. It'll be aspecting your 11th house by the fifth aspect, which means that you're going to put your knowledge in use, your skills, your wisdom to gain. So post May, you can expect gains, you can expect recognition, you can expect some sort of progression as far as your work is concerned. Change is certainly inevitable, as I shared with you. It'll also be aspecting your third house, which will again support change, elevating your communication, putting your knowledge in expressing yourself in the most confident manner that you're likely to progress. Okay. So it's an interesting year for Scorpio ascendants, quite a karmic year. And if you look at, your Lagna Lord through the year, it will transit through your third house till the ninth house. Okay. So it will mostly transit through these houses here. All right. So it will come in contact with Saturn, with Rahu, with Jupiter, and is going to make things very interesting, okay, for you as far as the support factor is concerned. So watch out Mangal's transit, particularly when it will come in contact with Saturn and Rahu. There could be some challenges, but when it will come in contact with Jupiter, it would be quite a progressive time period. In spite of Mangal being in Maran Karak at that time, but it'll still be causing, both of them will causing a beautiful yoga in your seventh house, around that time. So it could be very progressive. So do check, research about those dates when that is happening, right? And overall, I wish you the very best. Thank you. Let's now talk about Sagittarius ascendants and what's happening with Sagittarius ascendants in the year 2024. Once again, I'd like to share that based on Vedic astrology, the Vedic year or the new year starts in April. This is when Sun enters the sign of Aries, which is the first house of the Kalpurusha Kundali, the first sign of zodiac belt around mid of April. But due to a lot of requests that I have received from people, I'm making this very candid, simple, yet very detailed analysis around the year 2024, which is the year of Saturn, and how this year is going to be based on three key transits, which is Jupiter, Saturn, and the transit of Rahu and Ketu. Besides that, I'll also focus on Lagna Lord. Lagna Lord, in your case, Sagittarius ascendant becomes Jupiter. Therefore, Jupiter's transit plays the most important role for you this year, besides Saturn and Rahu and Ketu. So this is how we'll try and understand and have a very holistic analysis in terms of how these three are playing a role and what connections they are making for you to succeed or have some challenges this year. Okay. So let's start with Jupiter, which is your Lagna Lord and also your fourth Lord. Jupiter rules yourself and also your happiness, your comfort space, your mother, homeland, your body, vitality, immunity. It's making a transit in the fifth house. It rules two quadrants and is making a transit in a trinal house, which will last till 1st of May. During this time, it is forming a beautiful yoga in your chart. Jupiter does very well in this house because Jupiter is the significator of the fifth house. Therefore, it is in great strength. At present, Jupiter is in a parivartan with your fifth lord, which means Jupiter is acting as your fifth lord. So during this month, for the next, 30 days or so, any mantras that you chant, which are related to either Jupiter or Shiva, or even related to Hanuman, related to Lord Ram, would be highly beneficial for you, would give you positivity, strength, and would give you results that you desire. It'll be very supportive. Jupiter would be very supportive of mantras for the next 4 months for you. So that is the potential ultimate remedy that you can do. This Jupiter is aspecting your ninth house by its fifth aspect of knowledge. And your ninth house is jointly aspected by Saturn, which is your third lord. Okay. So fortune will favor if you embrace change. If you embrace change for your near future, that is how fortune will favor. Because the Rahu in your fourth house is giving you a message that you need to step out of your comfort zone. Rahu is the co-ruler of the third house. Your comfort space needs to change. You need to step out of it. You need to do things that are out of the box. You need to think differently. You need to act in a very unconventional manner when you are dealing with other people. Okay. This is also an year for you to discover your real profession or real work. And I'm going to talk about this more when I talk about Saturn. Ninth house being supportive of your fortune for the next 4 months is really going to be a key differentiator because it'll help you gain higher learning, pick up a course, or go for further education. That is going to be very supportive for the next few months. Jupiter is also aspecting by its ninth aspect, which is again a 100% special aspect, your ascendant, which is giving you strength, vitality. You need to use your knowledge, your learning, your wisdom in order to maintain yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you present yourself to other people. So those are some of the areas where Jupiter is extremely being very supportive over the next 4 months. And particularly the next 30 days are glorious. Okay, with this parivartan that is happening, and if you're going through a favorable dasha, antadasha, pratata dasha, you would have already started feeling these results. If not, then you will over the next few days. So this Mars would also be conjoined with Mercury, which is your 10th lord. So from a profession point of view, from a career point of view, from growth point of view, the next 20-25 days are good in case you're going through a favorable dasha, antadasha. So for that, I wish you the very best. But you need to step out of your comfort zone. This is what Rahu demands. You need to also ensure that you do not isolate yourself at your workplace and take care of that Ketu in your 10th house. Ketu has a lot of fire, so you need to channelize that fire and leverage your wisdom at your workplace. Communicate as much as you can. Try to build your network, try to socialize, share your knowledge with others, learn from others, and be a part of interesting and engaging discussions with people at your workplace. Because the more you do that, the faster and better you would grow this year. And if you restrict yourself, it is going to be extremely challenging for you. So be mindful of it. Focus on Mercury there, communication, applying your intelligence at your workplace. This is the message for you. In case you are looking for a change in your job or your workplace, you will have to put a lot more efforts. But after May, things are going to be extremely supportive when Jupiter will transit in your 6th house, and it is making a transit in the 6th house of job, but also aspecting your 10th house of work or profession. So any change of job, considering your Dasha Antardasha, between May through September is a time when you can expect a good change to kick in. But for that, you will have to start putting in efforts from now, because Saturn, your third lord, is making a transit in the 3rd house itself, which is the house of efforts. It is the house of change, communication. Saturn's also your 2nd lord. It rules family for you. It rules Kutumba. And I have said this before as well, Saturn loves to work for the family. 10th house or 10th sign, which is a sign of Capricorn, is its own house. Saturn's office space is Aquarius, which is 2nd from the 10th house. 2nd house is the house of family. So Saturn likes to work for the family. Okay. So any change that you were to do, you need to ensure that you look at your family and make sure that they're comfortable with this change and they're a part of this change. Okay. That is how you will grow and foster. Saturn is going to give growth while it is transiting in the 3rd house, but this growth will be slow. Saturn's relation or relationship with growth or its transit is like a slow walking elephant. It is massive as far as the growth is concerned, but it takes its own time. So you need to have perseverance. This is also the year of resilience for you. So you need to have plenty of that, okay? Because you will often face a situation that is adverse and you need to get back on track. So your ability to rise up and get back on track would really test your limits through this year. So maintain that discipline and honor that. Also, you would bring in a lot of depth in your communication, right? A lot of detailing. Don't be cold, but bring in depth. Elevate those positive qualities of Saturn. In terms of whatever work you do, so 3rd house is efforts. I'm not saying you need to work hard, but you need to have discipline in your routine, discipline in your efforts and what you do, right? Because Saturn is aspecting your Lord Jupiter for the next 4 months, which is fostering growth in Jupiter related matters, which is your knowledge, yourself. Your 4th house matters, which is happiness, comfort, future related decisions. Okay. So those are some of the things which you need to take care of and be very mindful of during this time. This Saturn is also aspecting your 12th house by its 10th aspect. Growth of spiritual pursuits, growth of 12th house related matters, which is focus on your sleep for overall mental, physical well-being, increasing your higher self-consciousness. There's also the clear message that you need to have during this time based on Saturn's transit. It's your 2nd lord in the 3rd house, which means that if you were to gain wealth, income, you need to work in a disciplined manner. I don't call it hard work. So let's say you work for 10 hours a day. So make sure 10 hours you're working. You're very focused, very specific. The other times, enjoy, spend time with your family, have good work-life balance. But the time that you're dedicating yourself to work, be it 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 14 hours, whatever your individual preference is, make sure you work for that time in order to gain most of these results for Saturn, right? So the first 4 months are quite crucial, would bring in some success. post-May, there could be certain challenges. There could be certain instances wherein you might have to face a lot of competition and a bit of discomfort with the change that is happening, because you might be very impulsive or impatient with regards to making decisions of related to your work or job. So that is the time when you need to take calculative risks and try to analyze the situation before making the decision. Okay, so that's something, a piece of advice that I'd like to give it to you. Right. Overall, I would say a good year, right, with some challenges that you can cope up with. I wish you the very best. Thank you. Let's now talk about Capricorn ascendants. For Capricorn ascendants, let's try and understand how the year 2024 is going to be, which is the year of Saturn, as we all know, right? So in this transit, I'm looking at three key planets and how they are going to play a role over the next few months in your chart. That is Saturn, which is your Lagna Lord, Jupiter, and Rahu and Ketu. Okay, so these are three key transits. Why I'm looking at these transits is because these transits play a very important role in predictive astrology, in life events, because the transits are longer in duration. So there are higher chances of results. And if we look at all of this together, we can make a lot of sense out of it, right? Saturn's transit is 2.5 years long. So this year, all through this year, Saturn's going to be in the sign of Aquarius in your second house. Jupiter is going to be in your fourth house. In May, Jupiter is going to move in your fifth house. Rahu and Ketu will remain in Pisces and Virgo. It'll be in your 3 and 9 axis all through the year, which is the axis of change, which is the axis of travel, which is the axis of communication, higher learning. So some of these things you can expect to happen, during this time, right? And this is how we will read this transit. Okay. Otherwise, the new year actually starts in April when Sun enters the sign of Aries. Maybe I'll make another video for that too. But here we talk about year 2024. Please also ignore some of the other, these placements, because I'm looking at a sample chart here based on the current time when Capricorn is rising, and just to give you a view of, how the placements are and what can you expect, this year. So let's start with the lunar nodes, Rahu and Ketu, because that's a significant transit. Rahu is your co-second lord. It co-rules the sign of Aquarius. Ketu is your co-11th lord, which is the co-ruler of Scorpio. So Rahu and Ketu on the 3 and 9 axis, which is the axis of change, long distance travel, dharma, higher learning, fortune, father. Rahu does very well in third house because it's an Upachaya Bhava. It represents growth, the first stepping stone of growth. If you were to grow, you need to put in effort. You need to try and do something in order to grow, in order to have something in life, or even to sustain. And you have to communicate as well. And Rahu loves to grow. He is all hungry for growth. So your growth pursuits this year would be towards wealth creating opportunities. The more and more opportunities you can create for wealth. And this is where Saturn is making a transit in the second house itself, in the sign of Aquarius. I'm going to talk about specifically about Saturn as well. But this year, one of the important aspects for you is the message that both Saturn and Rahu are giving you. That if you were to grow, this growth pace would be slower than usual. But at the same time, you need to bring in discipline in terms of what you do to gain income or wealth or a salary or a paycheck or wages towards the end of the month. Let's say you work for a specific number of hours, make sure that you're very much focused. Anything that you do, even if you have multiple jobs, or if you have a business, or you're a freelancer, or you do a part-time job, or even if you're a student. So anything that is related to your karma, your actions, make sure that you have that time dedicated towards it. Saturn is about discipline and work. It is not hard work. It is just work, but it demands you to just do and focus on work for that point in time. Saturn's your Lagna Lord. It rules the sign of Capricorn and it rules the sign of Aquarius. Okay. Now, Saturn rules sign of Capricorn because One reason is it's a Karam Sthan, and Saturn is Karam Karak. It feels very comfortable. It feels at home in the sign of Capricorn. That is why it has been given the rulership of Capricorn. There are multiple reasons for that. The other reason is Saturn is also associated to poor people and also beggars. Okay. Now, someone who's poor or not wealthy, Capricorn as a sign is associated to graveyard. So if that person would need to buy a house, so he would not mind going near the graveyard, right? Because the prices would be cheaper, much cheaper, would be affordable because no one might want to live there. Rich people don't want to live there, right? So this is what would be comfortable for this poor person. Okay. Now, second from Capricorn is Aquarius. Saturn loves to work for the family. Aquarius is Saturn's workplace. It's Mool Trikona sign. So, and Saturn is transiting in your second house itself. So whatever you do, your wealth, income has to be dedicated towards your family. Okay. As a remedy, start giving some money to your spouse every month or your family, or open savings accounts of multiple people in your house or your family members and start contributing and supporting them. It will enhance your wealth. It will increase your wealth during this time because you are doing your karmas there. Okay, consciously. You're working towards your family. Whatever income you gain, it is towards your family. And in order to get this income, you see Aquarius as the sign is concerned, it is like a man with a big jar of water. It's a big vessel full of water and is climbing the mountain. And it takes a significant effort. And this person is slow as well, right? And he needs to reach top of the mountain where no one likes to go, right? Where no one likes to work, but Saturn likes to work there. Okay. So this is the kind of effort it would want in order to gain wealth and in order to accumulate that wealth. So do not shy away from it. Okay. It will work well for you, right? Because then Rahu is supportive of growth, but growth will not come from a shortcut. It will come from the disciplinary qualities of Saturn. Ketu on the other side in the ninth house would really support dharma, fortune, and visiting pilgrimages would be the ultimate remedy for you. Visit a Jyotirlinga or visit Ayodhya, okay, Sri Ram Janmabhoomi, the Ram temple, and go to shrines, pray to the Almighty, whoever you believe in, based on your faith. I like to keep things very, very flexible in Vedic astrology, and do that. It will be extremely beneficial for you as a remedy. The more pilgrimages you take, it will give you that mental peace. And for the first 4 months, Jupiter is very supportive of peace, harmony, and that comfort in your life because it's making a transit in your fourth house. It's your third lord in the fourth house, your 12th lord in the fourth house, right? So Lord, the one who rules spirituality, is at your home in your comfort space. So it's very comfortable there, right? It's quite supportive of it. And your eighth house is being aspected jointly by Jupiter and Saturn, which is ensuring that not only it supports longevity, but it also supports certain changes. It helps you put your wisdom and discipline in certain changes, ups and downs, and dealing with uncertain situations. So you could be prone to uncertain situations for the next 4 months. Okay. But after May, you are like to gain more strength as far as your future planning is concerned, because this is when Jupiter is going to make a transit in your fifth house, and it will set the tone for future. It will help you apply your knowledge and get higher learning, get further education, and also a message from your mentor or guru's blessings or some sort of upadesha that you would get around that time, which will be supportive of your third house and the ninth house as well. And both Rahu and Ketu would be extremely active at that time in a good way after May. Okay. Jupiter will also be aspecting your ascendant, will further give you that inner strength, peace, and the ability to deal with any change that comes across. So the first 4-5 months are a bit tricky, challenging, but after May, there is progress. There is future decision-making, capabilities that you would demonstrate. that you would have, and further growth, because that is when Saturn's aspect, the 10th aspect on your 11th house, will also play a role in terms of ensuring that there are certain gains for you. Because it's your Lagna Lord, it's creating a Dhan Yoga in transit, but that Dhan Yoga is meant for your family. Make a note of it and follow the advice and some remedies that I've shared with you. Right. So overall, I say it's a mixed year. First few months are challenging, and after that, there is a shiny, bright light that is awaiting for you, and hope you make the most of the rest of the year. Thank you and good luck. Let's now talk about Aquarius ascendants. So for Aquarius ascendants, how the year 2024 is. I am considering three key transits, significant transits in terms of making predictions, giving you some remedies, having a very holistic view of the analysis. I have shared this before. I'm going to share this again. Based on Vedic astrology, the new year starts when Sun enters Aries, which is around mid of April. But due to a lot of requests that I have received from people, I've received a number of emails, messages that please share predictions of 2024. The world is doing it, and I listen to my audience. So based on your demand, I'm making the most unique video when I'm considering the transit of Saturn, which is the Lagna Lord in this case, the transit of Jupiter, which is the 11th and the second Lord, and transit of Rahu and Ketu. Putting this together, trying to analyze common connections and understanding what houses are active for you over the next few months. What are some of the good things, highlights, and challenges that you're going to face, and how to cope up with those challenges. Dasha remains the ultimate deciding factor. So the kind of dasha, antardasha, pratantardasha that you're running, that will remain the ultimate deciding factor in terms of navigating your life. Transits play a role in terms of supporting results of those dashas. So in case you're going through a dasha where Saturn's involved, Jupiter's involved, Rahu, Ketu's involved, Mars is involved, even Venus and Mercury is involved, you're likely to be impacted by this transit. So overall, it will have an impact. And transits of Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, and Ketu play a very important role in predictive astrology because they help in life events, in determining and fructifying events in your life. Therefore, it's a candid video. And let's start with your Lagna Lord, because Saturn's making a transit in your Lagna itself, in your ascendant itself. Okay. Saturn rules 12th house and your Lagna in your chart. Saturn is considered to be Maran Karak in the first house. This means it loses its significance. What is the significance of Saturn? It's about discipline. It's about work. People say Saturn's about hard work. I say Saturn's about work. It's a Karam Karak, period. Simple. It is represented by elders. So the elders around you, they need a lot of focus. Start from your own home. Try to work and support towards elders this year. Make some donations. That is something which will be extremely helpful for you. Saturn also, giving you a message that you need advice of someone elder or an old person. Could be your father, could be your guru, could be your relative, could be your friend. But that person needs to be old. If that person gives you advice, you will have a comfortable ear if you listen to them. So this is also the message that Saturn is giving here. So don't let lose the significations of Saturn, because this is where it is struggling. Saving grace, Saturn is in its own Mool Trikon sign of Aquarius. Okay, Saturn's being given the lordship of Capricorn and Aquarius. I have shared a concept, in the previous ascendants as well, just to quickly, summarize. Capricorn is Karam Bhava, natural 10th house. Therefore, Saturn feels comfortable with that home. Capricorn is also graveyard. It's linked to that. Saturn's linked to poor person. Okay, so maybe someone who wants to buy a house and does not have a lot of money would not mind living near the graveyard because the prices will be lower compared to suburbs and other posh places and localities. Rich people would not like to live there. Okay, but Saturn would not mind living there. He's comfortable. Second from Capricorn is Aquarius. Therefore, Saturn loves to work for the family. It is making a transit in ascendant. You need to change yourself for your family. You need to work towards yourself for your family, your loved ones. Any transformation that you do for your own self, whether it's focusing on your mental, physical, financial, or spiritual well-being. It has to be linked to your family. That is a very clear message for you this year. Transformation begins at home, and it should be supported or should be done for the family, for the overall welfare of the people that you are with. Now, this Saturn is aspecting your Jupiter in transit by the third aspect. Okay? Jupiter, which is your 11th lord, and the second lord is making a transit in the third house, which means efforts. If you were to gain wealth, if you were to have income, you cannot have that by sitting at home. You need to step out, you need to go out, you need to communicate, you need to use all your knowledge, intelligence, wisdom in teaching others, in expanding and influencing other people by communicating effectively and making that impact. And this is where you will bring wisdom and discipline in what you say as well. So Saturn, your Lagna Lord, is very supportive of growth of third house matters and Jupiter related matters, communication, change. Third house itself is about growth. And also your wisdom, knowledge, higher learning. So if you do that, you'd like to gain. This year is to work on yourself and also to work in terms of what you were to do to sustain yourself, to get that independence. Be very, very mindful of it. Because Saturn, by its 10th aspect, is aspecting your 10th house of your profession, of work, job, career. It wants to foster, it wants you to excel at work, it wants you to grow at work. So this is the very key message that Saturn is giving you throughout this transit, throughout this year. This is the year of work. Any work that you do should be towards your family. Any changes that you make in yourself should be towards your family. It's a very clear message. Both Jupiter and Saturn for the first 4 months are aspecting your 7th house of marriage, partnership, relationship. There will be a good support of your partner or your spouse in case your dasha is supportive, in case the current time period is supportive of it. Okay, for those who are looking forward to settling down in life, this could be a potentially favorable time. Because this house is pretty much active. If you were to start a new business, in case your dasha is supportive, this is a good time. It is a great, excellent time to get support from other people, those people who are opposite to you, even if they're outside of your country or your homeland. You are likely to be supported by those people who are opposite to you. So make sure you make the most of it. In case you have a boss or a manager who is of the opposite gender, you're likely to be supportive. You're likely to be supported by this transit. But for that, you need to communicate, express your opinion, and seek help or advice when needed. Because Jupiter, the more advice you get from a mentor or a guru or a father figure, it'll be better for you. And gradually after May, change related to your workplace is inevitable because May through December, both Jupiter and Saturn are going to be jointly aspecting your 10th house. If you do not change either your work or your job or the way you work, okay, it'll be very difficult for you. So you will have to bring those changes. Be prepared for it, right? In terms of, any remedies that I could suggest, could be with regards to Saturn, discipline is the key, consistency is the key. Everything will be slow because when Saturn is in the ascendant, it slows down things, regardless that it is in the sign of Aquarius. It's like a slow walking elephant. It will give you things you desire, you want by its own choice or will in terms of the time. So he's the deciding factor. So that's the kind of test which you have. You will get it, but that'll be delayed. So make sure you build resilience and patience and not rush to things. This is the year to slow down, right? Don't run fast, but slow down. Take a step back, reflect, analyze. That is the ultimate remedy for you in terms of anything that you wish to achieve this year. The other remedy is just keep working out, doing something that you can all through the time if you were to succeed. Let's talk about Rahu and Ketu in your chart this year. They're making a transit in the 2nd house and the 8th house. It's a tricky space. right? Rahu's transit, being your co-Lagna Lord in the second house, is creating a Dhan Yoga in transit. This would more or less be dependent on how Jupiter is placed in your chart. So based on Rahu's transit, you can expect a little bit of challenges over the next 3 to 4 months. But after that, when Jupiter is making a transit in your fourth house, things are going to improve, develop. You are likely to gain wealth, to take care of your comforts, to take care of some luxuries in life, to make some decisions with regards to real estate matters, property related matters, vehicle related matters, or all things that make you feel content, that make you feel happy. You would like to pick up some hobbies or also a secondary source of income. That is going to be extremely favorable. So my advice would be to take up at least 2 jobs between May through August, September. At least 2 jobs. Have a side hustle or a side gig in case you're in a full-time employment, or even if you're in a business. Try and offer a side hustle because you're likely to succeed, considering if you have the time and resources. Okay. Ketu in the eighth house could bring some sudden changes as far as work-related matters are concerned, because Ketu for you is your co-10th lord. But that is something you need to be careful of and mindful of, right? Don't let this uncertain environment affect your mind, because it will further cause stress for you. Embrace the qualities of Mercury. Look at Mercury in your natal chart. If it is in strength, this will be negligible. Okay. And that is how it will support you through the time. You will find it interesting to read about astrology or other sciences or research-based subjects, hidden knowledge. So apply your knowledge and your affinity towards learning some of these subjects, which will be very good for you and supportive through the year. Okay. Overall, I see this as a progressive year with some challenges and hiccups in the first 3 to 4 months. But as and when it will progress, it will bring some remarkable changes as far as your career is concerned, as far as your profession is concerned, as far as your ability to gain and also make some decisions for fixed assets in your life. So this is where you will gain and expand. And therefore, I say it's a pretty good year overall, right? With some challenges for the next few months. I wish you the very best. Thank you. Now let's talk about Pisces ascendants. Okay, for Pisces ascendants, again, I'm going to be making some predictions for the year 2024, which is the year of Saturn, as we all know. There are a lot of videos out there, a lot of information, good information, useful information as well, and of course, all kinds of information. But I'm making this effort in sharing unique information and considering 3 important key transits and how it will have an impact on you through this year. Though Vedic New Year starts in April when Sun enters the sign of Aries around mid of April. That is how we consider New Year in Vedic astrology. But due to popular demand, and also I'd like to do what my audience wants. So based on several requests I have received, I decided to make this video. It is delayed, and that is the significator and of course the reason for Saturn's role as well in terms of causing that delay. But at least we have this now, right? So I'm going to look at the transit of Jupiter, transit of Saturn, and transit of Rahu and Ketu for your ascendant and how it is playing a role. Jupiter being your ascendant lord plays a very important role this year because this rules your 10th house and this rules your ascendant. It is currently making a transit in your second house and it has gone direct very recently. This is causing a Dhan Yoga in transit. Your 10th lord that rules your profession, work, your actions in the society, things that you do on a day-to-day basis, how you survive or sustain yourself. And it is causing a natural Dhan Yoga in transit. It is a Lakshmi Yoga. Opportunities to gain wealth could be on a higher side over the next few months. But you have to be slightly cautious in precisely, few months from now, when particularly Mars goes in your 12th house and comes in contact with Saturn. So those would be the 30, 40 days, 45 days where you have to be a bit careful in terms of your decision-making capability. Avoid making important decisions in life. if your dasha is not supportive, in case you're going through a challenging time. Okay. Otherwise, this Jupiter's transit over the next 4 months will bring opportunities for wealth, mostly related to your work and things that you do for your own self. You could also have opportunities to create a secondary source of income. Now, remember, this Jupiter is also being aspected by the third aspect of your 11th and 12th Lord, Saturn. Saturn for you rules gains and is aspecting Jupiter in the third house during this transit till May. So this means it is supportive of Jupiter's quality based on its lordship and inherent nature. It rules profession for you, work for you. It is also significator of wisdom, knowledge, higher learning. It is the guru. So all these qualities are going to expand and elevate in the second house itself. The work that you do needs to support your family because that is where Jupiter is present. So you will be more cautious of the people that you're close to and those who you would like to protect. So this will become your priority for the next 4 months, which is good, and embrace this, right? Because after May, things are going to change. Jupiter might bring change in your job or the nature of work or what you're doing at present. Whether it is good or challenging would really be dependent on your ongoing dasha, antardasha, pratantardasha. In case you're going through a dasha of Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Rahu, Ketu, any of these planets are playing a role, even Venus, you are likely to be impacted by these transits. Okay. But post May, when Jupiter is going to enter Taurus, okay, it will be aspecting your seventh house, right? So very beneficial when it comes to marriage and partnership related matters and business related matters and all those decisions. It's going to support and foster some of those changes. Those who are looking forward to getting married, this could be the optimum time. Okay. By its ninth aspect, it will be aspecting your 11th house. So Jupiter's aspects are great when it's in third house. Okay. Post May, Jupiter would lose its significance. You will not be very much focused towards learning and higher education because Jupiter is Maran Karaka in the third house. But its aspect, when it aspects your seventh house, ninth house, and the 11th house, so it is going to elevate matters and qualities of these houses. And May through December, both Saturn and Jupiter will be jointly aspecting your ninth house, which will elevate your bhagya, fortune, long distance travel. That is going to be supported during this time as far as your work related matters are concerned. The initial phase could be a bit challenging. Let's say between May through July would be a period which is a bit challenging for you due to this change. But the second half of the year is quite promising for Pisces ascendants for this matter. This Rahu is making a transit in your Lagna, in your ascendant itself. Rahu is your co-12th lord, the one who rules losses, expenditure, also spirituality, higher self-consciousness is making a transit in the ascendant. And Rahu wants to expand and gain as much as he can in the ascendant itself. So he would incline you to take shortcuts to manage your expenses, to make wrong decisions and create that kind of illusion. And that is something you need to be mindful of. Follow the path of Jupiter. Stick to dharma. Stick to righteousness. Any change that is positive, that is linked to your learning, be hungry for learning. Because the more you learn, the better would be your growth trajectory for the coming months. Because that is also the message of Saturn in your 12th house, because it wants to foster and protect your spiritual pursuits in the 12th house. Okay. Rahu is making this transit in your ascendant in the sign of Jupiter. One of the remedy that you must have is to visit spiritual places, right? Make use of this travel, go to another city, to somewhere that is spiritual. It could be a temple, it could be a shrine, it could be anywhere secluded, it could be mountains as well. So anywhere you get peace of mind, or you get serenity, or where you feel the sense of solitude, okay, where you can sit and relax in peace for minutes or hours would be extremely beneficial for you at the mental level. Okay. This Ketu in the seventh house is going to cause separative tendencies with regards to partnership, relationship, marriage. So take care of that for the first 4 months. You need to be careful of certain decisions that you make in your life with regards to your marriage, partnership, dealing with your spouse. Things are going to remarkably improve in the second half of the year. So you need to maintain patience. You need to deal with this uncertainty and temperamental issues in your relationship for the first 4 months. So brace yourself and do not lose hope. Because Ketu is your core ninth lord. It is also making a beautiful yoga in transit from a fortune perspective. And that is why I'm particularly very confident about the second half of the year, because this is where you will get a lot of results related to your ninth house of dharma, fortune. But for that, you need to follow the path of dharma from now, from this day onwards. And that's the message of Saturn, who rules 11th house and the 12th house in your chart. Saturn's been given the lordship of Capricorn and Aquarius. Saturn is in its Mool Trikona sign during the year in your 12th house, in the sign of Aquarius. That is its office space. Okay. 12th house is also the house of expenditure, the house of losses. Saturn is also the significator of the 12th house. It is going to protect this house. It is going to elevate the qualities of this house. It is going to make you focus in terms of getting your good night's sleep or increasing your higher self-consciousness. You need to become more self-aware of the qualities that you have. Sit down, pen down your strengths, areas of improvement, do a SWOT analysis, try to discover yourself, and try to focus on your key strengths and things that you're good at. Don't be bothered about your weak areas or things that you're not good at. Just focus on your strength and continue to build on it. Saturn's Mool Trikona sign is second from its own house of Capricorn, which means Saturn loves to work for the family because second house is the house of family. And Saturn's message is that you need to have expenditure first for your family, then for your own self and your friends. Okay, it's a very clear message. If you focus on uh, having any kind of expenditure towards your family, you are likely to gain more through this year. So be mindful of it, be conscious about it. This is the good remedy for you, besides the other remedy that I have shared with you during this time. You might have challenges in terms of mantra chanting or using any kind of stotas or mantras to support yourself. So you might face consistency issues over the next few months. Okay, so that is something which I would not maybe prioritize. But otherwise, an exercise, let's say something which is very good or meditative technique is physical stillness. So sit still for 30 seconds doing nothing and gradually increase this time and ensure that you practice physical stillness for 5 minutes. It will give you ultimate thinking, reflective powers, which will help you in your decision making process for your own self and your betterment. Okay. Uh, and overall, I see this as a mixed year for Pisces ascendants. Particularly the first 4 months are a bit challenging. There are uncertainties, there are changes that you will have to deal with. Okay, there's increase of expenditure as well. But I think the second half of the year is quite promising as far as your fortune is concerned, because that will be quite favorable at that point in time. And one thing that you would also want later this year is a guru upadesha, a mentor or a guide who could give you the right message, the right knowledge or teaching. Okay, so that is something which you need to embrace. Okay, so you can chant the mantra Acharya Devo Bhava. Before doing that, you can chant 3 mantras, and this is universally applicable for all those who are going through challenging times with Saturn. So the mantra goes as Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. And these are the ultimate mantras for you in order to elevate qualities of Saturn, because Saturn is a planet that is associated to elders. And these are the three important elders in anyone's life. So make sure that you make the most of it. And this is applicable for everyone. I hope you like this video. Please share your comments and thoughts and feedback that you have for me. And I will continue to make more videos through the years about transits. And also I'll come up with series of astrological concepts and make things simple for you. And in case you find this video useful, please share this with your friends, spread the awareness. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And maybe have a year of labor, which is 2024, the year of work, the year of discipline, and the year of rewards and fruits that we will achieve through our work. Thank you very much. God bless you all.